to the last defender.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the 414 for March 3rd, 2017. My name is Rusty, and today we're going to go over Fastlane. We're going to do a preview and predictions of what you're going to see at Fastlane. I will be there live, in person, watching it from the BMO Harris Bradley Center in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, on the corner of 4th and State. And I'm not going to be the only one watching it. Joining me live via Skype, my partner in crime to go watch Fastlane with me, the one, the only, the Wookie. Wookie, how you doing, man?
How we doing tonight, Rusty?
We're doing good. So we've got in 2 short days, we're going to have Fastlane coming up on us. And it's been a while since we've had a pay-per-view in Milwaukee. The last one was an Elimination Chamber that we had. We've had a bunch of house shows, we've had a bunch of SmackDowns and Raws, but as far as a go-home pay-per-view to WrestleMania, we haven't had one in a few years. It's been a while.
What, 4 years, right?
Yeah, the last one was that Elimination Chamber from Milwaukee,
right.
And it's nice to see that they're returning, and hopefully with the new stadium being built right next door to the BMO Harris Bradley Center, we're gonna see the Bucks Arena get a few more pay-per-views. Maybe we'll get like a Survivor Series. I doubt it, but hey, we can hope. We've had King of the Rings here in the past, at the Panther Arena of all places. So let's go into it. We're gonna go over the card. We'll talk about the things that are going on here. And we'll go over this day in wrestling history as well. Today, we're not going to do the viewer questions. We're going to save that for the Sunday show, your quick little Sunday show right before I head on over to Fastlane. And let's go over it. The first one, we're going to go over the kickoff match. The kickoff match is going to be Rich Swann and Akira Tozawa versus the Brian Kendrick and Noam Dar. That is your kickoff match. They're starting things off with a cruiserweight match.
Cruiserweight tag team. How original, right?
I mean, well, the thing is usually we don't see the cruiserweights starting the night off. I mean, we've always said that, hey, the cruiserweights, just like we did in WCW, should start the night off. It should be the match to get the crowd going and, maybe get some high-flying action. It's going to be a spot fest, and we know it.
Do you think Teddy Long is going to come out? Make this a 6-man?
I don't think so.
He walks out, hey, player.
I don't think we're going to have a 6-man, but
that's what we're used to.
Really, I don't know why Rich Swann is being injected. Well, I do. I kind of do. Isn't Rich Swann being injected into the Noam Dar, Alicia Fox thing right now?
Yeah, he kind of I don't know, what do you say, hit on her a little bit,
yeah.
And then was like, nah, you can't handle this.
Yeah, like he kind of took over Cedric Alexander's role. Like Cedric had it. Is Alicia Fox the revolving door of the cruiserweight division right now? Is that what's going on? Like, first it's Cedric Alexander, then it's Noam Dar. Now Rich Swann wants in on it, too.
Might as well. Get it while the getting's good.
Yeah, so I don't know what's going on there, but it sounds like, and Akira Tozawa and the Brian Kendrick, of course,
right.
They've got their stuff going on here. I'm looking for them to kick off the night with the faces winning.
I would completely agree if Face is going over here. Rich Swann and Akira Tozawa going to take it. Kendrick's at the kind of the tail end of his career. He knows his role right now is basically to lose. Dar, I don't even know what they're doing with the Scottish Supernova.
I love it. I love anything they do with him, really. I love the guy. He is probably, other than looking at Neville. Neville is there, and Austin Aries, of course, coming back home to Milwaukee this weekend. He'll be announcing both of the cruiserweight matches. Really, Noam Dar is one of my favorites out there. I just love how he works on the mic. I think he's a great smartass. I think he works great as a heel, and I think he does good as a wrestler as well. He's the youngest guy on the cruiserweights roster right now, and he's making the most of it. He had his shot at the cruiserweight. In the Cruiserweight Classic, and they bit. They're like, this kid is good.
Well, for me, Noam Dar is kind of like every other indie wrestler at the current time. He just is plain Jane vanilla. If he didn't have an accent and he just talked, would he be as exciting? Hard
Probably
to say.
not. Probably
I love
not.
Brian
I do
Kendrick.
love the smart ass in Noam Dar, though. That's probably my favorite part of him. So we're both in agreement here. Swan and Tozawa going over. Got to start the night. You got to give the crowd something. Yeah. Yeah, that's what we're going to hear the whole time. And that's getting over with the crowd.
Absolutely. Well, how wouldn't it?
It's working. It's working. First women's match we're going to talk about here. And, of course, you can really only have 2 women's matches from Raw right now because they're only having 4 women at any given time on Raw. Sasha Banks versus Nia Jax. This one I still don't really get why it's being thrown around other than they're like just shuffling the deck all the time in the women's division on Raw. Does something big happen in this?
No, I think this is just a way to keep both their names in our mouths. More or less, is you got to keep Sasha somewhat prevalent and you got to keep Nia prevalent.
Yeah.
So with Charlotte kind of tied up with Bayley, what better way than just throw them together and they're in a match?
Yeah.
Yay.
And can you have Nia Jax lose this match?
No,
She
there's
can't.
no way.
She can't. And do you have Sasha Banks lose the match?
You have to.
She's got to lose. She's coming off the injury, right? She's
Right.
got to get that sympathy going into WrestleMania.
Well, to be honest with you, going into WrestleMania, she's got to lose, and I don't know if they're going to speed this forward just a hair. And it looks like they may. Who knows? We'll have to keep watching and see. But is this just more sympathy for when that big Sasha turn does happen? She gets the booze.
Right. And, there's the huge, we're going to have a fatal 4-way for the women's title at WrestleMania. That's what everyone is saying right now. You've got to do a fatal 4-way. It's got to be Nia Jax who's saying she's coming for the title. Bayley saying she's going to have the title. Charlotte always wants the title, and Sasha Banks turning on Bayley at some point. But then, of course, Bayley's like the only good kid in the women's division at that point, unless they did something with Emma or brought somebody else back. I see Nia Jax winning this one. Sasha Banks eating a loss. I think it'll be a longer match than we're used to seeing out of Nia Jax, too.
Very well could be. I mean, what are there? 2, 4... So there's only 7 matches?
7 matches, 6 for the main card, 1 for the kickoff.
On a 3-hour show, it's going to have to be a longer match.
Yeah, exactly. So I think this one goes a little bit longer than we expect. I'm not sure if they're going to kick this one off on there. I don't see them pacing-wise putting this as the first match. I'm just working my way back up on the card of what they're showing over at WWE.com. But I see Nia Jax winning this one. Kind of cementing
and I mean,
as...
that's a good spot for it, to be honest with you. If you look at the card on WWE's website, that's actually not a bad spot for it.
Yeah.
So kicking off the show...
Actually, there's
I could
8
definitely
matches,
see it.
7 on the main card. There's 7 on the main card.
Right,
1 on the pre-show.
7 on the main card, 8 altogether.
Yeah.
Right.
Your pick for this one, Wookie?
I got to take Nia.
Yeah, Nia's got to win this one. A definite has to win. Raw Tag Team Championship. The club, Enzo and Cass. I know you got your Enzo and Cass shirt on right now.
I do.
You do.
Well, I did.
And when Enzo and Cass first came in, when they came in and they were hot and they were going after those tag belts and they were in that whole tournament going through to determine who the number 1 contender was going to be, and then Enzo got hurt.
Mm-hmm.
I think that really lost a lot of momentum for Enzo and Cass, and I'm at a point where I don't care if they win or lose on Sunday. I'd love to see them win. I'd love to see them have tag gold, but at the same time, I don't want to see it off of the club anytime soon. So I am pulling for a club win at Fastlane.
Yeah, I'm pulling for a club win as well. You guys know, if you're coming from my channel over to here or vice versa, you guys know my feelings on the club. I love both of them. I love Festus and Carl Anderson. But I think WWE has finally come to the realization that Enzo just doesn't have it in the ring. And he's a better mouthpiece than he is anything else.
For
They
sure.
injected Big Cass into that whole kind of what was that? When the Universal title was dropped by Finn due to his injury. They injected Cass in there.
Because they had nothing better to do with him at the time because with Enzo being hurt.
Well, I think they realized they have more in Big Cass than what they had, and Enzo really is his mouthpiece.
Yeah, and Cass does show time and time again that if he's given something to run with, he'll run with it. But right now, I don't see Enzo and Cass being part of the being a tag champion at the moment. I'm going with Gallows and Anderson retaining past Sunday going into WrestleMania.
That's about where I'm at too. Gallows and Anderson retain over Enzo and Cass. I think this sets up a triple threat along the way.
With Sheamus and Cesaro.
With Sheamus and Cesaro for WrestleMania.
And though, I gotta say, I was disappointed to see the belts taken off of them so quickly. I thought that they made good tag team championships. I thought it was kind of weird that they flip-flopped with the whole Sheamus and Cesaro are at odds with each other stuff after they won the belts, and then they took them off and gave it to the club. So, and now they're best friends again. They're backstage with Joe, and Cesaro's got to hold Sheamus back. They're buddies again, all that kind of stuff. I really want to see those two do a great title run. I want to see Cesaro with a belt. That's my big thing. So that's why I'm kind of up in the air about this match. Do I care about it or do I not? I just want to see the club hold on to it, and hopefully at WrestleMania, we know going into WrestleMania, more than likely it's going to be Enzo and Cass, for holding out as long as they did, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
They had to figure out where they were going to do it. Why not get the big pop at the biggest stage of them all? But looks like we're in agreement once again. Gallows and Anderson retain. Cruiserweight Championship. Second Cruiserweight match of the night. First one for the main card. Neville versus Jack Gallagher. What do you got for this one, Wookie?
I got to take Neville, but I don't think Jack Gallagher is getting that championship. They finally have a champion who the crowd is in unison against or for. We haven't had that really in the Cruiserweight Championship as of right now.
No,
so
we had TJ Perkins first. Perkins was out there first, and no one you could hear a frog fart from a mile away in the arena if TJ Perkins was out there with a belt. And then Rich Swann, as good as he is, as good as everyone wants to see, we were all just happy it wasn't TJ Perkins holding the belt. But now you got Neville, and he's bringing that spark back in there. It's good. It's good. And with the possible return of Austin Aries anytime,
I think he injects himself into this match somewhere.
You think so? You think he's going to, during the match, he's going to leave the announce table?
What better way to bring the man, the greatest man who ever lived, by the way,
yes,
back into the ring, except in his hometown?
In his hometown, yeah, that is, at the Bradley Center. I don't think he's wrestled at the BC yet.
Nope.
So it'd be a good thing. Pretty sure he's wrestled across the street, though, over at Turner Hall.
I'd have to double check on that, but you may be correct.
So it would be good to see that, see a little bit of stuff going on there. So is there a clear winner in this match?
Yeah, I think Neville goes over clean on Gallagher.
Okay.
But I think towards the end, Aries makes his intentions more than known when he leaves the table with a banana in his pocket that he took from catering.
Yeah, I want to know what's up with
got
the
a banana and put it in my pocket, but with the banana in his pocket, and makes his intentions and his presence felt on Neville towards the end there.
I got to agree with you on that. I was going Neville the whole way. Austin Aries hopefully doing something at the announce table would be pretty good. The match that could be the match of the night is up next. Sami Zayn versus Samoa Joe. I've got my own prediction as far as what's going to happen on this one, but I'm going to let you go first.
Well, I mean, for me, it's got to be Joe. You can't inject him as the man who's here to beat people up and then get beaten up by Sami Zayn. Yeah. Not only that, Sami Zayn is our lovable loser. Let's face it, that man could eat pins for, the next 2 years, and we all be like, oh, but he's Sami Zayn. We love him.
Exactly.
You can't be angry at Sami Zayn. He comes out with that music. You can't frown to it. You can't be angry at it. And Joe has to win this one. It's just not possible for Joe to lose this.
I agree.
If
I agree
he
that
did,
Joe's
I would
going to
be
win.
shocked.
I agree Joe's going to win, but I don't think he's winning via pinfall or submission. I think this is going to be a DQ. I think Seth Rollins is going to make his presence known during this match and take out Joe. It'll be a nice, long, lengthy match, but I think Seth Rollins injects himself into this at some point so that this is, as I said during Raw's review, this is a screwy pay-per-view. It's the last one before WrestleMania, and they really didn't build it on Raw, which is why I keep calling it Speed Bump instead of Fastlane. It's a quick little stop. You have to go over the speed bump in order to really push on the gas and make it to WrestleMania. And there's going to be some story build going on at this pay-per-view, and I really think that this is the match, and I was thinking about it for a while. This is the match where I could see somebody coming out, other than another one, of course, coming out, interfering, and causing Joe's going to get the win via DQ, but it's going to be one of those things where it makes sense. It's to piss off Triple H. Joe doesn't get to actually have a pinfall. He doesn't actually get to beat up Sami Zayn to the fullest potential. And we know Sami can take a beating.
Right.
We've seen it over and over. Takes it from Kevin Owens, takes him from Braun Strowman. He's going to take a beating from Samoa Joe, too. And poor Sami, he can sell like crazy, so it's good. He's the Dolph Ziggler of the Raw roster, really.
I could definitely see what you're saying happen, although I have other plans for Seth Rollins that I'm sure we'll get into later.
Yeah. Raw Women's Championship. This is really this will be the low point of the night for the crowd. Without a doubt. This is going to be the one where we are going to hear people booing more than any other time within the entire night. We're going to have a lot of quiet time. I think Sasha Banks and Nia Jax is going to be a quiet match. I really think that the tag match is going to be quiet after the intros. We're not going to hear a lot from the crowd there, but I think that we're going to get a good reaction from the outcome of this match because I don't see Charlotte leaving Milwaukee without a belt.
Yeah, they're not gonna kill that streak. Not quite yet. That's not a big enough payoff. And
no.
I mean, let's face it, we're Milwaukee. We're not a large market. So they're not gonna have the big Charlotte Flair loses her pay-per-view streak to little old Bailey. Not here.
Exactly.
Miami maybe, but not here.
It'll happen down in Florida at WrestleMania 33. That'll be where she loses it. That'll be the one. And even then, she'll say, well, I didn't lose it in a singles competition or something like that. I don't know.
It'll have something weird to it, but that's where I think Bailey gets her win at WrestleMania, and that's where you see your Sasha Banks finally turn, where it's just she had enough. Maybe she was too close, and Bailey screwed it up. I don't know.
Yeah,
we'll have to wait and see on that one, but I think that's where you see your final Sasha Banks turn.
Yeah. Even then, I mean, we're looking at a 3-week title reign for Bailey.
It's happened 1, 2, 4 times for
this will be Charlotte's 5th if she wins. This will be her 5th title reign inside of a year.
I think Big E said it the best, right? What did he say?
He said that she'll beat Ric Flair's she'll beat Ric Flair's record by WrestleMania. Yeah. Yeah, that was, and they cut that out, by the way, on the Hulu broadcast.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, they did not put that in the Hulu broadcast at all. Big E gets away with some stuff on live TV. He really throws it out there. But I want Bayley to win. As I've said before, she is the only female wrestler on my wall of awesome behind my desk. But I don't see her winning. I really don't, and it's sad that it's predictable that way.
I mean, I'm the exact opposite. I'm pulling for Charlotte. I think she's a much better champion than Bayley or Sasha ever were. I mean, she's good on the mic.
For
she's
Raw,
good in
yes,
the ring.
I agree with that.
So, I mean, who is better on that Raw roster right now than Charlotte? And until some of these women step up to the plate, Bayley, Sasha, they don't deserve a championship. Bayley has not stepped up her game from NXT, and unfortunately just doesn't translate to the larger audience. Sasha,
not at all.
They never really gave her a time for that rose to bloom, unfortunately, with every other month having a 3-week title reign. So she never unfortunately got the time, but I think Charlotte wins this one. I'm rooting for Charlotte. That's where I'm at.
I'm rooting for Bayley, but she's going to lose. I hate to say it.
Maybe we'll get you some tassels. We'll get you the Bayley tassels at the stand.
I'll bring my Bailey bear. We'll hide it. We'll hide the Bailey bear inside of our special. I can't say what it is we're gonna hide it inside of because the video comes out on Saturday, so I don't want to ruin that for anybody. It got really something awesome in the slam crate. It's cheesy as hell. I love it.
I opened up mine today and I couldn't believe it was actually there. They sent me this.
I know. It's awesome. I want to go into the Universal Championship match first before we go over Roman and Strowman. But Kevin Owens versus Goldberg, we all kind of see it coming. There's only one way that this match ends. Jericho interfering.
Disqualification.
Yeah, Jericho interfering, beating up on Kevin Owens, getting back at him for throwing him into the giant pane of glass at the Festival of Friendship out in Las Vegas, and Goldberg taking advantage of that and beating him up in less than 1 minute and 28 seconds.
I disagree completely. Here's how I got this match going down, and it's kind of a long story, so everybody follow with me. I did a whole video on my channel how I saw the Universal Championship going. Basically, it's going to be a cluster, but you're going to get a lot of good build out of this. I fully see Finn Balor coming out, making his re-entrance into the WWE.
Okay.
I fully see Chris Jericho coming out, and those two getting into some form of quarrel outside of the ring. And this could happen in any array of, maybe it's not Finn, maybe Joe comes out first. But I fully agree Joe is going to make his presence known, along with Triple H. Goldberg does not walk out of Milwaukee with that strap. Kevin Owens retains.
There's nothing at that point for Goldberg and Lesnar to fight for at WrestleMania.
But do Goldberg and Lesnar necessarily need something to fight for at WrestleMania? Those names are big enough already as is. They don't need a title involved as well.
Other than Lesnar saying he doesn't get out of bed unless it's for something, yeah, it needs to be for something.
Well, for Lesnar, it is for something. It's for his pride. It's for his manhood. Yeah. I mean, he got whomped by a guy at 1 minute and 26 seconds.
Twice.
At Survivor Series.
And then whipped out of the ring
and then gets embarrassed at Royal Rumble. This match means everything to Lesnar and his character. Well, kayfabe-wise, everything to Lesnar and his character. I mean, Goldberg couldn't care less. I don't think they're going to give the strap to one part-timer to just hand it to another part-timer who you're not going to see probably for another 3 months from WrestleMania to SummerSlam next. So no. I'd say KO retains. Goldberg gets the W. KO will retain the strap, and we will see that new evolution everyone's talking about. That's going to form here at Fastlane. I fully believe that.
Definitely an interesting way to go. I know we've got to do something because Jericho's holding on to that U.S. belt.
And that's where my whole, it could be Finn or it could be Joe, one of the two. They interfere with Jericho's ability to interfere in the match. And that's where that sets up that feud at WrestleMania. Could be Joe, could be Finn. I think Finn versus Jericho would probably be better than Joe versus Jericho. And what's also nice about this is if we set up this whole stable with Finn being a part of it, and all the guys are NXT guys with Triple H at the spearheading the whole faction, this sets up a nice little feud down the line when eventually Finn Balor turns on Kevin Owens for the title he never lost.
Yeah, exactly. So let's get into the last one. Roman Reigns versus Braun Strowman. The match neither man can afford to lose. You can't have Roman Reigns afford to lose something going into a match, possibly the rumored Undertaker match, and then you have Braun Strowman, who has been whooping Roman's ass over the last couple of weeks. How do you book this one? I'm pulling for Strowman. I want Strowman to win.
I want Strowman to win as well, and the idea is crossed and come into my head of, do we see Taker come out?
If we see Taker in Milwaukee, holy crap.
The roof will blow off. The BMO Harris Bradley Center, for people who doesn't know, not very big.
No, they won't have to call in a wrecking crew because the roof is going to come down, and they're just going to have to be like, damn, Bucks are playing somewhere else next week.
Yeah, I mean, we'll blow the lid off that joint if we see Taker. But I'm just wondering, does he interfere? And that's how we set up either Strowman or Roman.
Or all three. I brought that up with JD, that if Taker comes out to try to get revenge on Roman Reigns for what happened at the Rumble, and Braun Strowman doesn't get to beat up on Roman Reigns the way he wants to, he's going to be looking for blood in the form of The Undertaker.
That's a good way of setting it up.
So, and you look at it though, and that's a lot of, you look down the line of what we just went over. And just on the Raw side, that's a lot of triple threats, a lot of fatal four-ways, a lot of tag match style things that could happen going into WrestleMania. That's a lot. This WrestleMania could be full of a lot of crazy matches that aren't necessarily one-on-one.
Yeah.
And it's only a 4-hour main event show with a 2-hour pre-show, which usually has about 3 matches on it. Mm-hmm. You're looking at 4 hours then. That's a lot to have to put in there, and we're not even talking about the SmackDown side yet.
Right. I mean, SmackDown probably is going to have at WrestleMania. What do you think? The main title.
SmackDown will have their main title, IC belt, tag titles.
Tag titles will be put on the pre-show.
Women's belt.
Maybe the women's belt.
The women's belt is there. So there's those 4 matches, and then everybody else. And AJ, whatever AJ is doing.
Whatever AJ is doing.
If it's going to be Shane, Shane and AJ, you've got that match. So there's 5 potential matches right away, and then everybody else is going to get thrown into the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal.
Right.
All the rest of your tag teams that lose all the time.
Right.
That kind of stuff. So, we got to figure out how to shoehorn everybody in that's healthy and put them in there. It's going to be crazy over the next few weeks, which is good. So let's go over real quick once again. Cruiserweight kickoff match. Swan and Tozawa on my side. I know it's the same for you. Banks and Jax. I'm going with Jax.
Going with Jax.
Raw Tag Team Championship. Who's winning?
Oh, the club.
Yep. Gallows and Anderson. Neville and Jack Gallagher. Neville. Definitely. Zayn and Samoa Joe. Joe's got to win.
Yep.
Joe's got to win there. We both had Charlotte Flair walking out of Milwaukee with the belt going into WrestleMania. Braun Strowman and Roman Reigns. I'm going with Roman winning.
On a DQ or just...
I'm just going to say, I'm just picking Roman.
That's a DQ. I think Strowman ends up winning by DQ.
And then Universal Champion Owens Goldberg. I've got Goldberg.
I've got KO.
And you've got KO. So that is what we've got for our rundown right now. Let's get into this day in wrestling history. We got some cool stuff here, Wookie. I don't know how much you follow this day in wrestling history or anything like that, but 9 years ago today, because we've talked about these guys already. 9 years ago today, the first WWE Cruiserweight Championship was officially retired on this day, 9 years ago, with Hornswoggle being recognized as the final champion. The title itself was retired way back in September on an episode of SmackDown, but it was officially retired when the WWE website removed it from the active championship listing on March 3rd. The title itself was born in 1991 as the WCW Light Heavyweight Championship and was revived in 96, brought over in 2001 following the purchase of WCW, and was a big part of SmackDown on there during the brand extension era. Gregory Helms, longest run in the title history, 385 days as a cruiserweight, mostly because he did not defend it all that much.
Right.
They just kind of had it on him. kind of like the same thing we did with the Divas belt for a long time. Rey Mysterio, though, holds the most championships. Do you know how many?
No, I don't.
8. Rey had it 8 times. First coming in 1996 with WCW. And then his last one coming in 2003 for WWE. 38 men and 2 women have held the Cruiserweight belt. Do you know the 2 women?
Woo. Nah, no, I do not.
Medusa and Daphne.
Wow, that's names you don't hear every day.
No, those are the 2 women that held it. So that is your first of this day in wrestling history. Then we move on to 3 years ago today. WWE announced in the inductees for the Hall of Fame, Paul Bearer being announced as a WWE Hall of Fame inductee just a little bit less than 1 year after his death. Paul Bearer brought in. And then, of course, that same day, the Usos winning WWE Tag Team Gold against the New Age Outlaws, defeating Road Dogg Jesse James and Badass Billy Gunn on an episode of Monday Night Raw. Crazy, crazy stuff. That is this day in wrestling history. Wookie, I want to thank you once again for coming on to the show, doing everything, and of course, going to Fastlane with me. It's going to be a good time because we get to torture our wives as well.
Absolutely. It'll be fun.
That is probably going to be the best.
Another fun fact for you. Where is Hornswoggle from, if you don't know?
I do not know.
Green Bay, Wisconsin.
Swoggle's from Green Bay. That's crazy.
He's from Green Bay. We have a lot of wrestlers, actually. We got Kennedy, Hornswoggle, Aries, and Roderick Strong. Roderick Strong is from La Crosse, Wisconsin.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you so much. And as always, everybody who's watching, if you've got a question for the show, we didn't answer them today because I knew it was going to be a long show. Head on over to 414-436-9686. You can leave me a voicemail there. I will play that on the air for Sunday's show and answer your questions there. Or you can head over to AskFM/The414 Show, and we will get your questions answered right here on the 414. Thank you again, everybody. Thank you, Wookie. Until next time, we're out.
To the last defender. It's not